Naked Willie. What's happening, brother? How are you today?
Dave Cooper live. You know, this is my favorite day of the week, brother.
It is. It's a good day. Not only is it Friday, but we get to talk some building science on Friday, and we get to reconnect. We're running around both sides of the universe these days. You were just in New Jersey last week. Where are you at today, my friend?
I was in Ramsey, New Jersey at Wythe Windows down the street from some folks that your Jennifer knows. And today I'm traveling again, trying to slow down because Saturday's gonna smack us in the head again, Dave.
It is. It is only
These
a few hours away.
These weekends get in the way of our work weeks.
They do get in the way of the work weeks. I mean, come on. I think we should do shows 7 days a week and travel the country. What do you think?
I think you have done that.
I
and
have
you've done
done
it very well.
I have done that. So today's going to be an exciting show. Earthquakes, hurricanes, termites. Why is building with wood in the Caribbean a good idea? We're going to ask Eli Gould today right here on BS Friday in just a few minutes, Mark. We're going to be talking about wood structures and how they are done in the tropics. New markets in the Caribbean, Mark, Central America, Southern South America, where softwood resource is so strong and the need for housing is as well. We're going to be talking about the teams needed to build humanitarian housing and, get this, Mark, non-toxic mineral salt treatments for bugs maybe, termites. We're going to talk about all this today. It's going to be an exciting day.
Earthquakes, hurricanes, and termites. Oh, my.
Hey, that's a T-shirt.
Oh, my goodness. Facebook, Dave. People are joining us from Facebook. Where else?
Man. Facebook. We are on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to YouTube. Twitch, Twitter. Get your tweets on. You got to get your tweets on. And, of course, all of you joining us on LinkedIn Live. We love having you. We appreciate everybody. And we appreciate you whether you're watching us live or you're watching this as a pre-recorded episode. It's all the same to us. We're just happy you're taking the time to learn something new so we can build it better.
Speaking of watching it when it's live and later, so Dave, I missed the Greg Ugaldi episode, and I can't stand doing that. My apologies, Greg. I was sending virtual thumbs up, but what I do when I miss them is exactly what you said. On Saturday, I sit down, coffee with Dave, and then YouTube, and I get to catch up because the information from people like Greg Ugaldi, I gotta be in tune with that because it's coming at us so fast that if you miss an episode, you just boop, hit the little rewind button. You know the rewind button.
Oh, I know the rewind button down there. Absolutely, I know it.
All right.
So we got a big show for you coming up today. We're having a lot of fun. Mark, I just had to share this with you, right? And just the last 2 weeks, we've had 22,164 new views. I'm trying to look on my phone and it's not going to show. New views. We're growing fast. We are up over 10,000 views more than we were last month already when it comes to this. So we're just loving it. We're putting out a lot of great content. People are liking it. So we are so appreciative of everybody. Your support means a lot to us, and you're why we do what we do, because we are making a difference. And at least everybody tells us we're making a difference by bringing all these great experts on, Mark. We showcase people that are building it better so people can find everybody, and that's no different than today.
That's exactly right. The people, the projects, the manufacturers, the suppliers, the project managers, all these folks come together. So when you see a name pop up that you know, say hello. When you see a name pop up that you don't know, connect, introduce yourself. Because when that happens, you're going to find your DMs, as they call it, are exploding on the weekends. Dave and I have more DMs on the weekends than we do on the weekday. That's because we're already filled up with the 60, 70, 80-hour work weeks. So the weekends, catch up on those DMs, say hello to these folks, introduce yourself.
Right. Introduce yourself. You will be surprised how much business is done behind the scenes in the chat. And we find out about it months, sometimes a year later, that hey, they met on the show. And we're like, that's awesome. All right, Mark, we got a lot to cover today. We have Eli Gould on the show today. Now, Eli is no stranger to the trade show scene. He's no stranger to traveling the world. He's definitely no stranger to building science. So what do you say we bring Eli on?
Yeah, and here we are, friends. BS Friday Live. Connect with Eli and meet him now.
What is happening, Mr. Eli?
Hey,
How are you,
guys,
my friend?
good to be here. I tried to grow my silver fox out to keep up with you, but you're way ahead of me, and Mark's way ahead of me. I tried to cut his off last time I saw him.
Yeah, you did. You did a great job. I had to run away and let you hang out with Dave. I was scared.
Oh yeah. Well, listen, we'll somewhere in Texas we'll find Mark and we'll get a few bourbons in him. Then I'll bring my military clippers. We'll have a field day. We'll give him Nike symbols or something.
A Nike symbol. I'm all about that. Happy Friday. Happy BS Friday, Eli.
Yeah, happy Friday to you guys.
Yeah, happy Friday. All right, Eli, let's hop into this, man. Not only are you a big supporter of the wood industry, you're a big supporter of the science. You're a big supporter in humanitarian efforts, and you have done humanitarian efforts all through the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, elsewhere. So let's jump into this by saying we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff, or now that I know your daughter's home safe, we're going to bring your daughter on, and I guarantee she won't hold anything back.
No. I don't want to hear her side of the story.
You only got 2 minutes to do it. The floor is yours.
Well, I was born and I'm in the town I was born and raised in, actually, in southern Vermont, and I thought I was leaving it forever. Went to a fancy school and declared a major nobody had ever done at the time, architecture and forestry, and they said, shut up and choose, kid. You got to choose one of those. And I persevered, got myself a dual major, and didn't know quite what to do with it, and came right home and started going into the field I wanted to that didn't have a name. So I had a sawmill, bulldozer, timber frame shop, up to about 15 guys at times building all kinds of cool vertical residential, high-end residential, high-performance buildings, and really got my chops with that. And about 5 years ago, I had a chance to make a big change. I was watching the mass timber field. I had actually, somewhere in there about 15 years ago, I got some unique work permits in Canada because of my dual major. So I was helping companies grow there, watching things get automated, watching the mass timber movement take off, and really watching some companies starting to have a bigger impact. And so when there was a big group of them in a nonprofit format called Qweb, Quebec Wood Export, looking for a representative to help them solve problems in the U.S., do the humanitarian missions we're talking about, work on code and education of architects, it really seemed like a dream consult client for me. So as I made my switch to being consult only, Qweb has grown to being really more than 3/4 of what I do. And I love the group of companies that are behind it. I love some of the mission stuff we get to do. They do support me on some level going into new markets like what we're going to talk about today. I also do a lot of that on my own because I love Latin America. I love the whole Caribbean basin, and I love to see that. Really what I love about it is the right now the wood movement, which is really a movement, is in danger of not really transferring perfectly. We can't have the mid-latitude version of wood structures be the same thing. It's got to be different. It's got to be tailored. It's got to be adapted. And we're going to need a lot of patience, a lot of expertise, and a lot of science to get that right. So that's where I'm at right now in terms of combining some rebuild needs and some education with actually how do we get this right in a new challenge. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Kind of a unique symposium series where I brought a bunch of experts with my export members, because we're exporting not just to one area, but you look at 7,000 islands, you look at all the different jurisdictions, you look at what's legal to do in those different areas, and you got to be ready, and you got to find out what kind of termites are there, what the different situations are. So I decided to bring the experts with us, go to a zone where we could see a lot of problems in one tight area, and have a working practical meeting about how to do, what are the best practices, what are the best players, who do we assemble, when we go into a new region that can help us do the best thing. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, you're meeting them where they are, but you're bringing a plethora of experience to the table for the situations they're going to encounter, whether they're prepared or not, right? That education and awareness is there's going to be fruits of that labor.
I hope so.
For sure. So walk us through, Eli, because we're gonna talk about your work on the islands. Then we're gonna talk about the science behind, how do we reduce the termite damage that's happening in the Caribbean environments, but also here.
Yeah.
That testing lab, if I recall, is in the United States, and we'll get into that where it's at in a minute. But first off, let's start off with, I think Haiti was first, right, and then Puerto Rico. But Puerto Rico, from what I understand, didn't work out as well as you wanted it to. What did you guys do with the Haiti crisis when that happened?
Yeah, we came up with this idea that that a group of industrialized manufacturers could all share one big contract and file. And in the case of Haiti, there was this massive earthquake, and the International Red Cross was there asking for thousands and thousands of relief structures. And at the time, which was great, the structures were actually designed to be resilient, because that's, if you think about it, it sounds simple, but obviously the only thing worse than losing everything is living in a camp that gets knocked over again.
Right.
So this is better than a tent. In fact, 15, 17 years later, there are still, sadly, people living in many of the homes that we built. But at the time, we decided we could take a lot of panelized shops, could all team up. They share computer files, they share plans. They could all just turn on for a week and crank and load boats with really simple small homes. And I mean, it wasn't a week, but it was incredible. 6,000 structures later was what we sent to that contract, and it was inspiring for everybody involved. I think a lot of the producers wanted to have that kind of impact, and they also loved that feeling of really getting ramped up on something. And so we decided as a nonprofit, Qweb, to try and actually generate a housing product. And we did it. We do the engineering, we do the aggregation, we help pay for all that. And when there's contracts available, we go for it, and we make ourselves available. Now, the times have changed. This is not easy. I don't want to paint a rosy picture. One problem is that it's not clear who can respond. It's not clear. Sometimes there is no contract to respond to.
Right.
Sometimes the planning of that is problematic, which we don't really want to be part of. We don't want to be part of a huge tent city or something that's in a floodplain or is being doled out in ways that aren't going to work or is going to burn down. There's just so many ways it can go wrong that we like to be part of good planning, but we're not planners. So we miss more opportunities than we hit. We're structure guys, and we try and be ready for the situation, but situations are not easy.
And that structure needs the infrastructure, and you're aware of the variables, but you're coming to the table with 1,000 answers, and right. They're not even sure of what the questions are.
Yeah.
Well, how do you even come to the table if there's really nothing in place to come to the table to most of the time, right? Are you finding since the Haiti disaster that there's now a process, procedure? Are they looking for companies like what you do to have the resources for quick housing, things like that? Or
I mean, there are small contracts. I think there's some gaps still. What I wish for, what I dream for, is good planning on response that's regionally coordinated, which doesn't exist much, especially when you get into zones where there's multiple islands and multiple small countries. It's just like every country's trying to respond to their problem when the problem is regional. So I wish there was that. The other thing I wish there was inventory. Honestly, by the time the phone rings, it's too late, and we know this is going to happen again. We're in increasingly violent storm cycles. I just wish we would actually step up and regionally inventory things that could be used.
When disaster strikes, oftentimes the deployment areas are logistically unwound.
Exactly.
So, like, for example, FEMA does a good job with having, different materials and those sort of things to deploy. But then when the logistics is down, I mean, what straws do you grab from? So, but at the end of the day, that's not an excuse not to be prepared. There are workarounds for logistics because we all have bananas in our supermarkets and we don't grow bananas here.
Right.
So we can't live in a banana, folks.
Yeah, there's unbelievable naval capabilities. Dave and I have talked a little bit about, I mean, the U.S. military is one of the most amazing first responders on Earth. And the landing crafts, all the other, but in many cases, they're being asked last minute. I wish there was like a training ground in which people, future Navy, future Coast Guard, there was a platform to deliver humanitarian relief, and people were able to use that platform when the ports are blown out or flooded in or whatever else.
That's a great category because there's also that tremendous amount of volunteerism that arises. You hear the alerts at 6:59 on a Tuesday, and in the next 4 hours, everyone says, "What can I do?"
Right.
And if there's not a hub for that, Eli, you're exactly right. Might have to have another show on that at some point. I'm hearing the echoes. I can see the notes that Jennifer's writing right now. Beautiful.
Well, I want Dave to do a Cajun Navy special because actually when Iota hit in Nicaragua and Guatemala, and that's like shallow water Atlantic coast, right? I couldn't get containers to where I wanted to send relief. And the best options at the time were the oil boat guys who were in the Gulf. They've got shallow draft boats. They're actually, a lot of those boats are privately owned.
Sure.
I mean, I think there's actually some amazing like merchant marine response capabilities if we could just find the contracts to put them together. So Dave, that's your next Gulf Coast field trip mission, but you might need my help on that one.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, I'm in the Gulf now. If we're gonna do it, now's the time. I love missions. Mark, come on, let's go. We got a mission. We're gonna hijack some oil tankers.
I was gonna say I'll give up riding a bike to I'll give up riding a bike to hop on a kayak with Dave. Absolutely. Right. No better partner out there.
That's it. I love it. Yeah, I'm on it, Eli. So Eli, tell me about the resources. Right, you need to get containers there. You're getting containers of what? What's in these containers?
We found the best way to go. Obviously, you can go panelized, but you can only fit so many in a container.
Right.
And so you don't want to ship air. So the best way to go is actually a flat pack where you have a pre-cut kit and you have all the hurricane hardware and everything's ready to go. It's all it's all made to be nailed, not screwed. You got a bag of nails, you got hammers, you got tool pouches, everything's marked, everything's pre-cut, no saw needed, and you're banging stuff together and building buildings on site. And the flip at that moment becomes like 20 small homes in a container versus 2.
Yeah.
So all of that I got quickly. I understand the kit of parts. I have the tiniest of questions. Why hammer and nails instead of screws and screw guns? Because of power?
Yeah, just where you're going, who's going to be putting the buildings up. If you really want to rebuild a community and train people how to do that effectively, then the drawings are in 3D and the hardware is nailed together. That was just that was the Central American coastal version we put together last time. And I think that's got some real optimization. Yeah.
Good.
I'm not saying it's the only way.
Sure. Right. The kit of parts in pre-made sections, and basically we can, because those containers are not probably coming back around, right? So we need an exception in the container rule where those things are filled. They're not meant to travel around and bring Levi jeans and pharmaceutical drugs and bike tires in. They're a kit of parts that sit there, so they don't need that same standard. Relax, folks. They don't. They sit there ready for deployed, and they're at various ports already in the dead zone. We all know the ports have dead zones, ready to go. And that is preparedness. It's just like you don't wait to call the water company and then they call the plastic company to make the bottles, to fill the jugs, to put them in a box. They are sitting in containers ready to go.
Yeah, they are. And you know, I'm trying to pull just some pictures, Eli, while you talk, because people really have to understand, like, all right, well, the roads get washed out. They don't understand that means, you know, like 20, 30-foot crevice, you know, you're not crossing them anytime soon. The ports are all smashed up with boats and barges all flipped over, you know, so getting containers there in a shallow boat can be super, super difficult and tricky, right? I mean,
yeah, I think some of the things we looked at were actually offshore transfer, because like, you know, in the Caribbean, you got these long, especially on the eastern coast of Central America, you got these long, shallow draft. So really the thing to do is to have a staging area or a marshaling yard where you can transfer into an open boat. And that's actually one of the reasons why we were in Puerto Rico. Logistically, I believe the Caribbean should have short sea shipping hubs. And it's not just for emergencies. It's sad that people on islands pay so much more every day for groceries, for toilet paper, for everything because of port logistics. And they need more inter-island and short sea trade, and they need more open boat activity. And I think the wood industry is a great way to drive that. We can be in open vessels a lot. We're bulky, we're regional. So more wood trade and more short sea offloading, sometimes even potentially in a the real disaster scenario needs a ship with a crane that can swing a container onto a workboat, or even unload, pre-build, and then get right into shallow shore water.
We're gonna start a team after that that's called Sea Boxes for shelter and supplies, right? And just get that going. You're 1,000% correct. When that thing happened in Puerto Rico, my buddy at San Diego got together and they got like 20 generators to send over. And, you know, it took 4 months later because you couldn't get them. And then what happened, Eli? You know the rest of the story. The generators arrived and they couldn't get fuel.
Right.
You know, there's not really solar powered generators. There are, but let's be real, folks. It's like the solar powered flashlight.
Well, we got to send Andrew Sealy there. He's figured out how to use solar power to build what he does, but it's not a little panel.
You know, we should talk about pods a little bit, because I don't want to go all right to the flat pack or one product. There was another really interesting delivery innovation that came out of our disaster response, and that's the mini modular folding home, where the modular elements are done volumetrically as a core of the building. You got your water and your kitchen and your energy systems all at the core, and the whole thing folds in, slides into your container. When it comes out, you open it out and you stand up. You get wing spaces, you get bedroom, you get that 20-foot wide.
Dave said what? Eli? But he knows exactly what you're talking about. And he knows everyone who makes them, because we talk about this. And Jennifer's like, stop talking to Mark. We have to have dinner.
That's not for us. That's for those that don't know about this stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, generically, like, volumetric modular is still the best way to package complex systems in one place. And every building has that, or every community has that. I think maybe the perfect mix is a community center with a mini modular core, and then flat packed rebuild small homes around it.
That's right. There's always the need. First, you get the lodging hubs, and then there's the accessories of the shower, of the bath, of the mess halls, if you will, because sometimes we have to go to scale before we go to private space, because you still need a roof, you need to protect, and then later on you add the walls. I mean, sometimes it is like that.
Right. Sure. But I think there should be a minimum. I think it should be about community rebuilding. I don't love the camps. I don't love the just dropping off stuff to be for people to fight over. I actually think, like, there's a core operating unit of a working community, which in Latin America is bigger than ours. You know, it's 20 homes and a little store and a place
Yep.
where you can get everybody together. And there may only be one fridge in that village, but it's at the store. And I mean, they do that really well. And I think we should be trying to rebuild what they do, not just an emergency response.
I think how you said that, there's always special nuggets that always speak to people's personality and beliefs. And you pointed on that we first acknowledging what's working there and how wonderful all these communities already work in the truest sense of community. We have a lot of that not happening here, but it exists there. So we go from that and then we go forward. You want me to read that, Dave? Okay. Arash says, what is the life expectancy of the wooden structures in those climates? Can they resist the frequent hurricanes? And let's just add the word hurricanes, earthquakes, and termites, because that's why we're here today, Mr. Eli.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the hurricane part is the part I'm least scared of. We're getting really good at that. If you can spend a little bit of money on the actual engineering and hardware, it'll be there for you. I'm more worried about long-term degradation. I'm more worried about humid tropics, fungus, termites, and how to make wood last a really long time there. That seems like a bigger challenge than the hurricanes themselves.
I love that you said that. And Andrew popped in. Dave popped up his comments. Many of the structures, the oldest structures in that region, are wooden. And so that is a unique comment. Obviously, we know Andrew has experience in that area. So certain regionalities have more access to certain materials. All of us get that. And Eli, thanks for pointing that out. So you already have the solution, and it's growing, and it's got wonderful leaves on it.
Yeah, for sure. And hey, just to mention, because Jen put it up, coming up in just a few short weeks, the 10th and the 12th, is the Innovative Showcase on the mall, right? The mall outside of the White House. We need products like you're talking about, Eli, to showcase there, because there is HUD's going to be there, Secretary of Housing is going to be there, senators, congressmen, they're all going to be there. It costs nothing to show what you have. They will give you, I think, like a 90 by 50 spot on the mall.
That's this month?
June 10th and 12th.
Oh, June 10th and 12th.
June 10th and through 12th. Yeah, Jen put it down below. Is the Innovative Housing Showcase. So if you guys are out there and you want to display your goods, and you want to have the people that have the wherewithal to get with FEMA, get with all these natural disaster people that have the deep pockets and the money, this is a good place for you to showcase what you have going on. So appreciate that, Jen, for reminding me to bring that up. So,
are you going there, Dave? Are you going to be there?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. So
that's a quick plug. We'll let Eli get a quick drink of water. So for the folks that can't make it to the White House lawn, then you could join the show, and Dave will bring the White House lawn to you. But for folks interested in getting involved with it, connect with Dave and Jennifer and support that they're delivering that to the rest of us. Eli,
thanks, brother.
Where are we at, Dave? Do we want to take a question?
Yeah, so we have another question here, and then after that, you had a really good transition, Eli. It was almost brilliantly perfect about going into the termite damage and that being the bigger concern. So, I almost wish we just smoothly went into that, but questions are important. So let's get into this. Let's have this question, and then let's get into that topic. Peter Molnar says, would all the metal components need to be stainless steel?
Peter actually gave me another good segue. That's another good segue, but the answer is no. It traditionally has been necessary sometimes, and you definitely need to think about being in a high salt environment. But we've been assuming for too long that we have all the different metals at play, right? And part of the reason we've needed stainless steel hasn't just been the salt environment. It's actually been the heavy metals that we're putting into our treated lumber. So I want to throw out there, it's possible if we see a treated lumber trend change and we're dealing with mineral salts instead of heavy metals in the treated lumber, then the same screws that are electro galvanized that are designed for salt exposure can also be in the treated lumber. That's a big savings versus stainless,
Stainless
a
steel,
big one.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
we're starting those long-term tests right now, but it's looking really good. I mean, because salt corrosion has been around a long time. It's not just stainless. There are some very good coatings designed for
Right.
use in salt.
Right.
And
That's so true. I mean, the treated world has changed, right? And sometimes it's changed and we haven't known it. And there's obviously other grades of stainless and there's other coatings involved. So sometimes you don't realize what you're using is going to be very problematic.
yeah, and the treatment industry has had to evolve a lot for various human health and environmental health and everything else. So the fastener industry has to keep up with that, and then people have to be educated to keep up with that. So it does get tricky, and then if you go on the road to 7,000 islands that have different jurisdictions, in some areas you find the pressure treated stuff that's illegal now, the CCA, and in some areas you have European standards where they don't even they think the US is not strict enough. So there's a lot of overlays on this. It is hard to know the right thing to do, which is why I decided to start generating content for architects who could navigate these, because there's not a perfect right answer.
The tongue and the taste in my mouth, I probably shouldn't say this, but it's a memory. When you said CCA, it immediately came. I remember doing decks. Every time we had a cut, we had a gallon jug there, and then we grabbed our brush out and we wiped that coating on the end of it. I could taste it in my mouth.
Oh
I
no.
could taste it, but it was an incredible product at the time. It's what we had.
It's
Things
durable.
evolve.
It's definitely durable. And that's what people have to realize, is that sometimes the rating system that you're looking at is based on building durability, nothing else. So you can have a very durable product, but it still doesn't mean it's the one you want in your house or your kids playing on or anything else. These are actually separate topics. So speaking of tasting, Mark, then since you like to taste salty timbers and a little borate in your oatmeal, then that's going to be where actually the two start to come together. And that's where I've been focused a lot lately, is mineral salt treatments for tropical resistance.
And say that again. Say that again so people know.
Salty timbers?
Well, right,
It's like
because we
salt- it's
joked
like
before the
saltwater
show.
taffy.
I told Eli that I put borate on my oatmeal in the morning, next to my blueberries and raisins. But I tell you what, when you have someone like Eli on, these are things that you might not have heard before. And this is the key, because I laugh out of excitement because I don't know people to talk about this stuff with, right? And Dave's like, Mark, you're a geek. I'm like, yeah, I'm a geek. But like, you're a master, Eli. Like knowing this stuff, you could type this into Google and you could get things that don't apply. You can ask Eli and you'll get the phone book of good information.
Well, I hope so. There's some great people around me who know this one a lot better. I've been learning from them, but I've helped. A sodium borate is a mineral we all know. We have it in our eye drops. We have it in our 20 mule team borax. It's in our laundry detergent. It's a single mineral salt that's mined. There's a huge mine in California, in actually Boron, California. That's one of the largest.
What a coincidence.
And it's been around a long time. People have known about it. What's changed recently, and the company that I've helped, they've impregnated wood at a higher level, more scientifically in a factory application than anybody else. So you can definitely spray it on site. I'm going to talk about some guys who do amazing work with that in San Diego and other areas. And there's a lot of preservative treatments have borate as an ingredient, but a single ingredient treatment in a factory that can meet U.S. code for fire and Formosan termite standards hasn't happened until really recently. And that's where the scientists that I have been helping get through those hurdles have taught me about their product enough that I'm becoming a little bit of an evangelist about it. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Well, and the other part, I don't know what's piqued your ears on that one, Dave, but for me was you said it's on a plant in San Diego. So a lot of times, all of us in the material market know that California is often the area of the country that says what you can't use.
Right.
So rather than talk from a world of what we can't use, when you hear it being used in California, now we have a listening for what can be used.
Yeah,
So,
it's an agricultural soil amendment, no certification. It's not a pesticide. It actually doesn't kill the termite in the way you think. It doesn't even kill the bee that lands on the wood like the other insecticides do. It's not an insecticide. It's basically a salt detergent. When the termite is eating, what a termite's trying to do, they have bacteria in their gut. They're actually just like a cow, just like one of us. The way they digest cellulose is
Mark,
to chew
Mark
it.
has two stomachs too.
Yeah, totally. He's a ruminant. Absolutely. Single stage ruminant, actually. I don't even think he's two.
And just so everybody knows, he does wear a pen protector in his full belt. Because he does, the nerd part. He has a pen protector in there.
Yeah. Well, and he needs a lot of barley and hop salads to keep himself going, to keep that fermentation going.
Oh my God, the secrets about my life being exposed. It's nutritious and delicious.
I love it.
But yeah, so what happens is they're trying to fill their belly with cellulose, and so they can redigest it. And if you put the mineral salt in that wood, it cleans them out. They can't digest it. That's the lethal mechanism. They starve and dry out. They don't die from a pesticide.
It's kind of like if Dave and I happen to have a Corona and we put too much salt around it, we're getting dehydrated.
Exactly.
Versus hydrated. We're not getting enough nutrients, so we need to stop and have some pretzels. Oh no, that's more salt. So holy cow. Boron is the town?
Boron is the town where sodium borate is mined. Yep.
Got it. This is a nutritious history lesson.
And San Diego is one of the top 10 termite cities in the US. It's tough.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I feel like Dave's going to get comments from the Termite Association and say we need to, buy flowers for the termites out there. But hey, we're talking about structures and people, not termites. Termites. What do they eat? Do they eat dry wood, Eli?
Well, drywood termites do, for sure.
Oh no!
But
are you kidding me?
All deadwood.
Are you kidding me? We have drywood termites.
The drywood termites are not that bad. They're like not as aggressive. The ones you really worry about are the subterranean termites. So in the east, there were native subs, but now there's a Formosan termite that's going all over. Came in on shipping crates or military stuff in the 1950s. Formosan termites will live in a colony of 1 million underground. They will fly to the 18th story of your building and eat your cabinets. They are aggressive.
This sounds like a new Marvel character that's coming in and just wiping us out. Are you kidding me?
So, and there's actually Asian subs who are now, from what some people are saying, just like many other Southern California hookups, this is dangerous. This is cringeworthy. The Asian subs and the Formosans are now starting to crossbreed. So there could be new breeds of termites coming on, and
we have hybrid termites. Come, join Dave and I in San Antonio this summer. We're going to be riding them. There's no longer bull riding events. Dave and I are going to ride termites.
That's right. That's right. And we're going to wear 10-gallon hats too.
Yeah.
All right, Eli, we got a little presentation to go. We're at about 45 minutes here. We know people got to get back to their busy lives.
Awesome.
And I know that everybody will sign up to watch us ride termites, especially crossbred termites. I didn't know that existed, and dry termites and all of this. I have been to the Caribbean, and I can tell you they're palmetto bugs, what we call, what do we call them? Cockroaches. They're huge. I can imagine what the termites may look like down there.
Wait till the termites crossbreed with them, and we're going to have termites the size of Will Chamberlain.
Yeah. Yeah,
us
I'm
through
gonna
what we
go.
got here.
I'm gonna go fast here, just because this was a unique and small symposium. We're gonna have proceedings for this. You guys got the sneak peek because I've been so busy traveling, I haven't really pulled it all together. It's a pretty valid question. You've asked it. Why wood in the Caribbean? I'm gonna try to answer it. And if yes, why Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico is such a small island, and I'm going to get to some of the reasons I believe this is right, but as a hub location and as a place in which so many things have happened that are challenging, that need rapid rebuild, I'm going to hit it right here. We didn't go far from the tourist trail to find the trouble here. This is right outside of San Juan. Old San Juan's a beautiful area. It's also low lying. The airport is now 2 feet under sea level. It's being kept there by pumps. So there's areas that are getting flooded by the climate change and the rising seas. And we went
San
into
Juan is where we sent all the generators. Yep. Absolutely.
So we went into one of those neighborhoods with this guy, Dan Hume from San Diego, is the original salty termite himself. He's done 40,000 termite inspections. He's treated thousands of buildings with mineral salts, and he wanted to get right out there. And you can see he's taking pictures of these trails leading up into this poor guy's house.
Dan is not the new hybrid termite. He's actually a person.
Yes, he is.
Okay,
he is,
got
and
it.
he's there to treat with borates and bring it on, and he's there to train people. What we're seeing here is a building that was already rebuilt. The roof was, but that one beam wasn't, and the beam is sagging because it was hollowed out.
Okay.
And Dan was shocked at what he was seeing. Not shocked, but he was saddened and wanting to bring some on-site spray technologies and some treatment that can handle this level of termite infestation, because it's there.
So this is good. Obviously there was destruction to the top of the roof. Then they came in and they replaced that. But Dan's there doing more of a forensic review, saying, wait a minute, there's existing members here. We didn't analyze them. Come to find out, maybe they're 40, 50, 60% of their strength, but the rest of that have been consumed by those little nasty buggers.
Yeah,
So he needs a treatment that could be applied liberally in some facet, brush or spray, and then that will, I'm guessing, kind of inoculate, but it will also, the capillary fibers of the wood are going to be filled with it, and then the termites won't be having a smorgasbord.
Exactly. The beauty of the borate is it is soluble. It's never going to be an exterior deck product. It's an interior product, not to be rained on. But when you spray it on wood, it basically wants to osmose. It wants to keep traveling. It will go, if you come in at a really high density salt solution, it will then migrate continuously in the wood cells and saturate it out. So that's the beauty of the sprayed application, and it'll find that balance.
In terms of solubility, if we have members coated with it, and then whatever they're held inside is heavy with moisture condensation, not rain, does that mean it washes off the application?
It can leach. It can leach. If you're in like driving rain and runoff, it will leach.
Okay. So another reason why don't listen to 2% of what Eli said. Check out and verify with him that the procedure you're using is the correct for the application that you're going to. That's why people need to connect with you.
And you're going to hear like, oh, I tried borate or it didn't work, or there's this failure of this probably low concentration, not well stored and not well protected application. But what we're getting into here is highly treated materials with people who know how to use them. And that's how we're going to have to bring this thing to market. But Dan Hume here wanted this to happen. Wanted them. This is for a nonprofit, Protechos, who's a great organization. They build roofs for free, and they respond to the most vulnerable populations, not only with their nonprofit rebuild program, but they train people from their own communities in Puerto Rico to become the first responders and carpentry rebuilders, which is why we're with these guys. It's so rare and awesome to see a organization totally bootstrapping like that long after the challenge happened. There's in Puerto Rico, not many people remember or realize, but there's one of the highest concentrations of U.S. military veterans in any U.S. territory. The percentage of service members is really high relative to their population. So back at home, sadly, in this building, there was a older and not well U.S. military veteran that was over his TV. He was lying there with not a lot of mobility. We were like, man, we have got to do better helping this whole community.
Yeah, the humanitarian efforts at Techos is Spanish for roofs, and so this group is going long after the fact. After people stop watching the news coverage of it, they're there continuing to make a difference in their lives, but also the preparedness and example that they have is readied for the next disaster. Don't forget, folks, there will be more.
Exactly. And these guys are also, because they built training and vocational opportunities, learn and earn, they call it, because they built that means they're the best trainers you're ever going to find for the rest of them. So we love boosting these guys up because it's like triple benefit. But I want to point out something that even less people know. Right after that major hurricane that we did hear about, there was a major earthquake. I mean, we're talking Richter close to 7. So we went to the epicenter of that town, and what happened in Puerto Rico is the concrete buildings that survived the winds really didn't fare well in the earthquake.
Oh man, it's
so
like
they
a
have
double
this
dose.
They have this double dose, and then they told me a story that right after that, it missed them. A huge meteor hit right off the island, and they were like, "Bring it on!" At this point, like, we can survive anything. Just bring it on, and let's get this thing.
And then the hybrid termites come, right?
Yeah.
It's like, at the end of the day, this is a friendly reminder that Mother Nature doesn't care about your shelter. It's up to you to care about your shelter and protect it. Hurricane, earthquake, meteors, good goodness, and termites. We forgot to have meteors as part
not
of
going to do meteor proof. That's not part of the guarantee. Read the fine print. Meteors are excluded.
So I know there's a few more slides, Eli. We're at 52 minutes, and I know people got to get back to it. If you want to pop through them and just give 2 seconds on each slide, just so we show them all. Let's hop into that and then bring her home.
Shout out here to, first of all, that good planning. Yanel de Angel founded a organization to do the planning, Resiliency. She's a Puerto Rican architect working out of Boston, Perkins and Will. She's now director of Boston, Perkins and Will. And she went down there to say, we need better planning for this. So she had the master plan. And then she told me about this little organization called Protechos. And these guys are building roofs. They're hiring people, 30 employees with workers' comp, with tools, climbing around on buildings for free, fixing them up for the most vulnerable population. And they're getting hammered by the price of wood right now more than anybody. So we're really trying to get them some Canadian treated wood so they can keep on hiring people and keep on getting out there and fixing roofs, because it's not over yet.
Shout out to Canadian
That's
treated
the shout
wood.
out.
Got it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right.
Those are my shout outs.
Or is that it on the slides, Eli?
That's it. Yep.
I love it. All right, listen, we went a little bit over on time today, but there's a whole lot of knowledge here. The whole idea of this is to give you guys an inside glimpse of what people are working on around the world and in the Caribbean. If you want to learn more about this, reach out to Eli. I mean, this is what he does. He loves to educate, and that's the whole reason of our show. I wish we could go 24 hours a day, but we know people have busy lives and got to keep things going. Eli, you're doing amazing stuff, brother.
Thank you so much. You guys are doing awesome. You're out there spreading the word. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be on here, so thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, so we are going to be live tomorrow morning with Coffee with Dave, and then on Monday, guess what? We have Crate Modular going to be on the show this Monday. which we are super, super excited about. And then we have on Wednesday, Dan Leach. And you don't want to miss that. That's with TDSG. Join us. We're going to have some great conversations as always. And then again, we are back on BS Friday. Mark, you know what's so cool about what we have coming up? I can't announce it yet, but we have an A-lister, a rock star family getting ready to come on the show in just a couple weeks. That's all about talking about killer houses, mold in houses, and how it all
my
started.
lips are sealed. I'm excited to have Chris Magwood back.
Right.
I wanna give thanks and shout out to Dave Cooper right now for 2 years of BS Friday Live, and Eli, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight because of the hybrid family. But what I took away from today is preparedness is needed. The three of us will have another talk about deployment and preparedness. We will come back around. The conversations are never over. Reach out to Eli and have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
See
Eli.
everybody.
All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in today. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll talk to you soon. Eli, stay right there. We'll come back to you after the outro. Bye now.